Nowadays, we live in a country where we have to pay taxes to the government. However, how does the government decide how much taxes that we have to pay? And how does the government use the money from the taxes to make it beneficial for us the citizens? This can be answered from public finance. So, what is public finance? Public finance is the study of the role of the government in economy. Why government may want to intervene in market economies?
The first motivation for government involvement in the economy is the existence of market failures, which is problems that cause a market economy to deliver an outcome that does not maximize efficiency. The example of market failures is underconsumption of products with positive externalities like electricity bill. The second reason for government intervention is redistribution, which is the shifting of resources from some groups in society to others. The example of redistribution itself is in Indonesia, they applied progressive tax rate where those who acquired higher income should pay higher percentage of tax to the government. So, if the government wants to intervene in the economy, how do they do it? The first approach that the government can do is through tax or subsidized private sale of purchase. One of the methods is price mechanism, whereby government policy is used to change the price of a good in one of two ways, through tax or subsidies. Example, in Indonesia they subsidized the electricity bill to make sure the citizens could afford it without having concerns. The other approach is to restrict private sale or purchase that are overproduced or mandate private sale or purchase that are underproduced and force individuals to buy that good. For example, in USA, the Affordable Care Act, or more known as Obamacare, mandates that individuals purchase health insurance or face a tax penalty. Another alternative is to have the government provide the goods directly in order to potentially attain the level of consumption that maximizes social welfare. For example, in Canada, they have publicly provided health insurance for their entire populations. And the last approach that the government can do is by public financing of private provision. Government may not want to involve directly in the provision of a good. Instead, the government can finance the private entities to provide the desired level of provision. For example, the 2003 legislation to add a prescription drug benefit to the US Medicare insurance program for the disabled and elderly involves federal government reimbursement of private insurers to provide prescription drug insurance. In assessing the effects of government interventions, policymakers must keep in mind that any policy has effects. So, what are the effects? The direct effects of government intervention are those effects that would be predicted if individuals did not change their behavior in response to the interventions. For example, suppose that the government wants to try to address the problem of the uninsured by providing free public healthcare, as is done in the United Kingdom. The government computes that with 49 million uninsured and an average cost of treating each uninsured person of $2,500 per year, this intervention would cost about $125 billion per year. This is a huge amount, but it is much smaller than existing spending on healthcare by the US government, which is $818 billion. According to this calculation, we could cover all of the uninsured for less than 3.5% of the federal budget of $3.7 trillion. On the other hand, the indirect effects of government intervention are effects that arise only because individuals change their behavior in response to the interventions. For example, being uninsured is something that people can change about themselves. It is not a fixed personal characteristic such as being male or African American. By providing free healthcare to those who are uninsured, the government provides strong incentives for those paying for their own health insurance to drop that insurance and take part in the government's free healthcare program. Why do governments choose to intervene in the way that they do? We are particularly concerned about government's decisions whether government's intervention will make problems worse or better. It is why government faces enormous challenges in figuring out what the public wants and how to choose policies that match those wants, not simply correcting market failures or redistributing income. They must consider a wide variety of viewpoints and pressures, only two of which are the desire to design policies that maximize economic efficiency and redistribute resources in a socially preferred manner. This will be explained more in Chapter 9 about the tools of political economy, which is the theory of how governments make public policy decisions. Why do we have to study public finance? Government, which consists of both national or federal and local units including states, counties, cities, and towns, is large and growing throughout the world. The nature of government spending and revenue sources is also evolving over time as governments move away from being providers of traditional public goods such as defense to being providers of social insurance such as social security and health insurance. Governments also affect our lives through regulatory functions in economic and social activities. For example, in Indonesia, they have provision of criteria and standard tariff for license fee of forest utilization business, forest rent tax, reforestation funds, and investment funds for forest conservation. We've known now why we have to study public finance. But why do we have to study it now?
Public finance is central to many policy debates today, such as healthcare, education, and social security. Although it could bring positive impacts, public finance could also bring negative impact.
For example, if the government prepared 80 trillion rupiah to support healthcare for the uninsured, those who can afford insurance could stop purchasing insurance and join the healthcare given by the government. Due to this, the budget for the healthcare could increase and will burden the government. We need to study public finance because if one day we become politicians, we will be able to make correct decisions for the society. And even if we did not become politicians, we will understand the reason behind government's decisions and we can use it to help us in our career.
People nowadays always criticize the new government economy provisions. Public finance will help us to understand the basis of those provisions and help us to make better plan for the future.
We can understand the internal law of the government revenue and expenditure through public finance, which will be more conducive to our practical activities.
In my opinion, it can regulate the macroeconomy, rationally accommodate the market resource, and meet the social public needs, and make up for the difference of the market economy future.